Hey West Michigan, it's Congresswoman Scholten, back for another episode of Straight Talk with Scholten. Today, we're going to dispel a few myths that have been circulating about the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill. I have received thousands of calls and emails from my constituents over the past few weeks asking me to vote no, and I proudly did. I did it for our healthcare, for our children, for our farmers, for our seniors, for our veterans, and for our communities. The Republicans who voted for this bill and the president who signed it into law want you to believe that it'll make your life better. Well, the reality couldn't be more untrue. We're here to make it clear about what it actually is. One big dangerous piece of legislation. It's bad accounting, bad policy, and bad for our district in West Michigan. Of course, there are some positive benefits that are included in this bill, and I don't want to overlook those, like expanding college savings accounts to include vocational training, as well as four-year colleges. But the bill also makes college more expensive. The average Michigan college graduate will pay $3,000 more per year in student loan payments under this bill compared with the previous administration's SAVE plan. This bill is going to change the lives of everyday folks at home, and Republicans continue to tell lies about what's really in the text of the legislation. So let me give it to you straight. Myth number one, this legislation doesn't cut Medicaid. Not true. The bill includes the largest cut to health care in American history. At least 10.5 million people, including almost 500,000 Michiganders, will be at risk of losing access to Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program. Cuts to Medicaid also hurt hospitals, and some advocates say that Michigan hospitals alone could face $6 billion in funding cuts. Myth number two, the tax benefits will overwhelmingly help the middle class. This could not be more wrong. 80% of Americans actually stand to lose after-tax income, some by as much as $1,300 annually by 2033. Meanwhile, ultra-wealthy earners at the top 0.1% stand to earn more than $300,000 in after-tax income. That kind of wealth is 4 times the median household income in my district. It's unfathomable to folks back home. Now, this bill has a ton of bad stuff in its nearly 900 pages, but we should also be sure to cover, mind you, the very few but good provisions in this bill. So, truth number one, this bill will increase the child tax credit. While this bill will actually increase the child tax credit to $2,200 per child starting in 2025, this is not enough to support American families. My Democratic colleagues and I have been steadfast in supporting a robust child tax credit that will allow children to thrive regardless of their zip code. It has been proven to pull children out of poverty. Myth number three, this legislation doesn't add to the federal deficit. Now, the truth behind this myth is one that should stop all of us in our tracks. $4.1 trillion. That's how much this bill will add to the national debt. Not to make life easier for working families, but to fund giveaways for the ultra-wealthy while gutting funding for critical programs that Michigan families rely on. Myth number four, Social Security benefits will no longer be taxed. False. This bill does not amend the tax code to not tax Social Security benefits. It does provide tax breaks to individuals over the age of 65, regardless of income source, but it doesn't touch Social Security. Now, I personally support removing taxes on Social Security benefits through a bill called the You Earned It, You Keep It Act, and also support a bill to make sure that Social Security is solvent for years to come. This bill, however, will accelerate Social Security insolvency by a year to 2032, as calculated by the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Social Security insolvency is already a pervasive problem and threatens to strip seniors and those saving for their retirement funds of their promised funds. That's why I've been so proud to support legislation that would turn this around. Let's look at truth number two. This will save aging Americans money. Yes, this package does include a $6,000 tax deduction for low and middle class seniors in their Social Security benefits, as I mentioned. However, This provision expires in 2028, and at that point, the percentage of seniors escaping the Social Security tax would return from 88% to 64%. And either way, those savings pale in comparison to how the billionaires will fail. Myth number 5. Cuts to SNAP are not actual cuts. They will only make able-bodied adults meet work requirements. False. The new SNAP eligibility guidelines slash exemptions for veterans, people experiencing homelessness, and youth aging out of foster care. 3 million people are likely to lose benefits in total. Work requirements seem like a straightforward thing, right? In reality, they are just adding red tape, and they have found that workers lose access to benefits when they're already eligible just because of the paperwork burden. This bill is making life harder for the folks who need this assistance the most. Truth number 3. This bill invests in our Coast Guard. That's true. As the representative of Coast Guard City, USA, I am glad to see the federal government appropriately investing in our Coast Guard. However, this bill doesn't include critical guarantees to our Coast Guard, like assurances that they will be paid on time during a government shutdown, which is what my bill, the Pay Our Coast Guard Parity Act, would provide service members. It also doesn't say specifically how this money will be invested. We know that Kristi Noem has been trying to get her hands on a second Gulfstream jet, but we need that money for a Great Lakes icebreaker and to invest in our coasties. Myth number 6. This bill will end tax on tips. Now let's break this one down. H.R. 1 pauses tax on tips, but does not end them entirely. This provision expires in 2028. Coincidentally, or not at all, the year of the next presidential election. Let me be clear, the Republicans who voted for this are only in it for their own political gain. They couldn't care less about what it will do for folks in the years after their next election, thinking only of themselves as they take a chainsaw to the programs that people depend on. This isn't a beautiful bill, it's a reckless one. You need to look no further than how hard Republicans had to fight each other just to get this passed, to know how wrong this bill is for the country. It barely passed at that, and it did so after hours and hours of debate. We've heard Senator Mitch McConnell say that Americans will just get over it. And Joni Ernst telling concerned citizens who are worried about losing their health care, well, we're all going to die. Or Trump telling members of Congress to close their eyes and just vote for this bill. Well, my eyes are wide open, and I can clearly see that they are bargaining with people's lives. I won't stand for it. We need a government that invests in people, that lowers cost, that tells the truth, that actually listens. I'm not here to rubber stamp bad math and false promises. I'm here to fight for hardworking families of West Michigan, and I always will. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.